All right, David. Breaking news: the door is closed for Xavier Howard.
Yeah, Chris Grier was trying to tell us what he wanted, but I felt it was pretty much a long shot that Xavier Howard would actually be on board with that and would be willing to play ball. We had him at the locker cleanout day, right as the Dolphins were eliminated a couple of days after that playoff game in Kansas City, and he definitely seemed to indicate that he was not willing to take less money to stick around. So I think it's no surprise that that's his take on the matter after Chris Grier at the combine sort of trying to insinuate that maybe the door wasn't closed.
Have you guys like picked up that guys and girls, everybody that covers this team? Have you guys picked up that Chris Greer is going to say the company line for everybody? Oh no, we don't rule it out. The door is always open. He's always going to be, even if he already closed the door on his ass a long time ago. He's never going to tell you. Oh, yeah, no, we're not interested. Oh, no, he's washed up. Why are we going to re-sign him? Get out of here. You're never going to get that from the guy. So you're always going to get the same company line. So he gives it a respectful type of way of doing it publicly. But I mean, it's the same thing with the Wilkins thing. Like that shit was over last year, dude. Not this year, not now. That shit was over last year when they had their bitter ending to the whole shit. There was no, again, everybody played cordial in the front because that's what Chris Grier, like Spo. Spo is never going to trash a player. He's never going to make an excuse. He's just going to say we have enough, and he's just going to say no. He was fine with us, whatever. He's really not going to trash people. It's the same thing that Chris Grier is always going to like give you it's a company line, really, is what it is. I'm not sure why people run with it one way in the way of hope, like, oh, he's left the door open, and it's like, bro. That shit is nailed shut. Come on, bro. How naive can you be already at this point? I don't know. I
Yeah.
find it funny.
I've had now 3 years of being in on Chris Grier press conferences since I joined the beat, and sure, yeah, it seems like over a lot of the questions, a lot of the questioning, he will answer in a way that leaves all opportunities open, all options open, similar to that Christian Wilkins answer, which was all options are on the table. He'll say that a lot. He tries not to.
Hey! Here's a good one. Are you ready? Are you ready?
What is it? What is it?
Earn the right to be a free.
That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites from Chris Grier.
I mean, it's like hook, line. Are you people falling for this shit? I mean, come on, dude. It's the same crap he says for everything because he's going to be respectful. He's not going to trash anyone. He'll let everybody else do that, dude, and he's always going to take the high road. So it's like if you're trying to bait him into that, or you're trying to create your own headlines. But really, dude, the Wilkins and the X stuff, and that shit was over already, man. I mean, come on, dude.
I do think from his perspective, yes, he would have liked X at a lower pay rate, but it's just that wasn't going to ever really be the reality from X's standpoint. And, probably internally holding out some hope that maybe he sees the market and then it's not that great for him, although I think he will have somewhat of a sizable market there for him, even at his age. But maybe hoping he tests the waters and then says, oh, well, if they're offering me X to go elsewhere, no pun intended, I could get Y with the Dolphins, and the difference when you consider the state tax implications and the way I'm treated with the Dolphins, who are number one in the NFLPA survey and all that, is the grass really greener on the other side? So maybe hopeful that all that gets taken into consideration, and he would take a little bit less, but. Also, from a player standpoint, it's a pride thing too that an organization that you've been with for 8 seasons doesn't want to pay you what you feel you're worth or what you're on the hook for. Which obviously for the Dolphins, saving $18.5 million was just too desirable after June 1 when you consider where X is right now in his career.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Plus, they have to turn the page, bro. You have to turn the page. You have to make tough cuts. And you've got to, maybe bring in some new people and kind of change it. And that's we're already watching the Weaver effect take place. Yeah. So obviously Weaver is part of a lot of these decisions. because there must be a plan in place of how they're going to replace certain people. So we're watching a lot of the changes going on. Baker also, one of the things we like on this show that we like to use is three magical words for Chris Grier. And yeah, he would like X at a price. And yeah, he would like Dalvin Cook at a price. And yeah, he would like Jonathan Taylor at a price. Yeah, he would like to, maybe bring back Baker. Low hanging fruit is what he wants. And so if he can get them back at a discounted price, I'm sure that he would take that chance, like he did with Emmanuel Agba when he first got him, that he got a discounted rate for the first 2 years. And then he gave him a contract after that because he had earned it after 2 years of 9 sacks each. Unfortunately, the man had an injury, and we had a defensive scheme change, which was not beneficial to him or to Chris Grier, who gave him that contract, unfortunately. But that happens with change. People are coming and people are going, unfortunately, and this is part of it. So, your impression so far early on of the process and how much Weaver is involved in Wilkins not being here, moving on from Baker, Keon Crossan, X, all the changes that are being made.
Certainly, and to your point on Grier, at a price, the low-hanging fruit, I think that speaks also to his philosophy on taking the chance on the injured player, because you can get that player at a discounted rate when he has that injury history. So not being afraid to deal with that and going for it. So on the defensive side, yeah, definitely, I think, which was one of the answers that we really did get from Chris Grier in a way, because Jerome Baker was on the hook for some money, and then he said at the combine that the new defensive coaching staff will get a chance to analyze the personnel and make their decision based on that. So that sort of led you to believe, okay, wait, this guy was on the hook for money. You're not really committing to him. So that sort of led into, okay, yeah, this cut is really realistic, which we could always see. We thought maybe shakedown and that Baker would come back, but then it ends up being a release at this point. So yeah, Anthony Weaver definitely has his fingerprints all over the new defensive changes. Hey, he was with Patrick Queen, a guy we've mentioned on this program a few times. So I think a lot of Dolphins fans would be hopeful that the inside linebacker from Baltimore, who
No. Dolphins linebacker Patrick Quinn.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's for next week's show.
Well, no, that's right.
That's for next week's show.
Running back Derrick Henry. It just kind of, it just goes,
Yeah. Which I saw, I had a press release of some betting odds sent to me, and they have him at 25-1 to go to the Dolphins. So
I was wondering, does the Hard Rock app have that? Because I would love.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would love to bet that.
That'd be something worth looking into. Huh?
I gotta tell you, let me see. Hard Rock app, does it have NFL props like that? Free agent props. That would be pretty cool. Let me see what it has here.
Sometimes those are tougher to find on a lot of the legal books, and then it's some of these offshore sites that send out press releases, and it's pretty unique stuff that you don't get elsewhere. So that's why they kind of catch the eyes of people in the media like myself, and then I end up giving them publicity.
Yeah, dude. Oh, here we go. NFL. I got it now. Conference winner, division winner, regular season. Division winner to make the playoffs, player awards, no. NFL draft, first overall pick, second, third overall pick. Okay. Team to draft a player, all that. Okay. No, unfortunately, dude. Unfortunately. By the way, speaking of low-hanging fruit, I think that's kind of what he just did with Jonnu Smit, because it's really – it's not even $5 million a year that he's going to get, and if he actually plays the way he can play in this offense, he can be very effective, dude. Very effective, because he is fast and he is terrific after the catch. So Jonnu Smit, to me, was a bit of a steal by Chris Grier on that 2-year deal. You tell me.
Yeah, I think we will get to the season and end up looking at it that way. A guy who just hit some new receiving highs for his career, receptions and yards this past season with the Falcons. Had a couple down years in New England Patriots purgatory. Obviously, it was him and Hunter Henry there at tight ends, and Hunter Henry got the lion's share there. But I know he also had some drops there as well. But then he also, his last year in Tennessee, before hitting free agency, had his career high in touchdowns with 8. That 2020 season with the Titans, which, by the way, if they compare Derrick Henry and Jonnu Smit as well in that running back tight end tandem, obviously the Dolphins will also have the compliments of Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane as well in that.
That's why I love it, dude.
Backfield.
Henry Brooks and then Mostert Achan. So the two skill sets.
Yeah.
Nobody is Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But my point is that Brooks at least brings a little punch to his game. You know what I'm saying? He's going to now have a full off season, an NFL off season. You know what I mean? So if like a dude like Nick Hicks gets his ass, or Bomarito or something, they'll make him like a bigger dude next year and more impact. So I love that because I don't think Wilson's going to be here. I think Wilson's going to be moved. I think he's one of the guys that is going to suffer, unfortunately, here in a cut in free agency. That's just me. I'm just throwing it out there. But I think the Jonnu Smit deal was a steal, dude. Really do.
Yeah. For his skill set, for one, the Dolphins didn't have a tight end touchdown last year, so a red zone target. We've spoken about it all season. How hopeful it could be Chase Claypool or anyone else. Even if it was Robbie Chosen, just because he was taller, even though he doesn't really have the body type, just looking for someone to be that guy in the red zone that Tua could throw a ball up to, and maybe Jonnu Smit can do that. And then also that yards after the catch aspect. I mean, Mike McDaniel could scheme up some tight end screens where defenses are just so worried about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle going deep and they're playing off coverage, and then all of a sudden a little slip screen to the tight end when you're also worried about the speed in the backfield and this and that. And then Smith is able to go off for a big yardage after the catch. So just a lot of things that I think Mike McDaniel will be able to do with him.
Okay, but he's not really a blocker.
Yeah.
Okay, no, because let's not start this shit again. Okay? All right, because see, here's my challenge to Mike McDaniel. He is a fabulous play designer. I know he is. He is not a disciplined play caller. He has little to no awareness of what's really going on in the game that he has to attend to. Whether it's keeping Chubb in a game too late, that means nothing, okay? Or whether it's not winning a challenge or not staying with the running game to complement your offense, your game plan, your defense, all these kind of things. And then the other thing that frosts my ass with him is that he loves Tyreek and he loves Waddle. He doesn't love anything else. And so he doesn't throw to the running backs enough. He doesn't scheme out a third receiver. And please don't tell me that people don't get open. Okay? Because Oronde Gadsden ran slower than syrup, and you knew exactly what was going to happen. And that's because Oronde Gadsden's separation is not on the ground, it's in the air. Oronde's separation is not on the ground, it's using his body against the defender. You don't have to be extremely fast. If you know how to use your body like Oronde Gadsden does, like Chase Claypool does, like Mike Gesicki does, like Jim Jensen does. Bro, I'm 57 years old. I'm tired of seeing this shit. I know exactly what a football player is and what his skill set is. And certain guys aren't fast. Throughout the history of the game, there's certain guys that just weren't fast, but they knew how to use their bodies, or they had incredible body control up in the air with their hands. And so to me, McDaniel has been inflexible in creating a third option and scheming. Brother, if there's 2 or 3 people on Tyreek, somebody else is open. So we got to stop forcing it to those 2 guys. He's got to stop influencing his quarterback. His quarterback also, I'm his biggest defender, but I'll tell you one thing he needs to do. He needs to say sometimes, F that, bro. Let me go to this guy. Let me go to this guy. Take the 4-yard pass from Smythe. Take the 5-yarder with the running back. Whatever it is, move the chains. Keep it. Let's not go for broke every time. And the one thing I've seen from him is that he's inflexible when it's not named Tyreek and Waddle. So now you sign Jonnu Smit, and now okay, he might be a guy that might be willing to be in front of somebody, but he's really not a blocker. So let's not bullshit each other here. Let's he's not going to be on the line and he's not going to be sealing off the corner. So the running back will be right. That's not who Jonnu Smit is. That's not who he's ever been. Okay. So are you going to use him? Because you've had other weapons and you fail to incorporate them. That's an article for you, my brother, right there.
Yeah.
Because the overflow of offense to those two players and the drought that is the rest of the players, that's bad play calling. And that, by the way, you become more obvious to the defense. They know exactly where you're going. All right, it's these two guys. Mathematics say it's very little chance he's throwing to these other guys.
Yeah. And you have Durham Smythe there as a tight end that is that inline blocking tight end. Now, I know when you hear that, that smells a lot of the first year under McDaniel, that Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe combination, which had been in Miami for years before that, but that Mike McDaniel did not utilize Gesicki's skill set very much. Only a little bit in the red zone. Gesicki did get his touchdowns that season, but outside of that, rarely on the field. It was too obvious when he was off the field because that's when the Dolphins were running. So it sort of tipped off on play calling, this and that. So now I also hope Mike McDaniel has grown as a play caller from year one to now going into year three, that he could then adjust and find ways to incorporate his talents and the skill sets available to him from different personnel, so that you can get Jonnu Smit on the field and still mix it up and be able to use him and not take away so many of his snaps like we saw so many years in that 2022 season, or so many games in that 22 season with Gesicki, and how he had some career lows in snap counts in games since going back to his rookie season, really. So and then the other thing is, if Jonnu Smit is not a good blocker, but if he's willing at this stage in his career, even after now 7 seasons, just if he's going to be a willing learner, because you get him under John Embry, who is a good tight ends coach and can teach blocking. And then now I know this didn't work for in the few months leading up to the 22 season with Gesicki, but if he could be more of a willing blocker then maybe you could get something out of him, or at least he's serviceable in that area. I'm not asking him to do a lot, but just be serviceable in that area, so you don't have to take him off the field and be basically where defenses can read what you're doing based on his presence on the field or not.
Yeah, I want McDaniel to be more like Spo. That Spo figures out who you are,
Yeah.
and then that's how he plays you to your strengths, and he doesn't ask you to do other things, but he knows how to incorporate everybody that he has there. He doesn't just like, okay, no, we're gonna just do it on these two guys. That's it. They're gonna carry it. No. The ball's gonna move around. People are going to get opportunities. You're going to earn them, obviously, and all that good stuff, like always in that organization. But I see him, open things up and create more with other people out there. Where McDaniel, dude, it's just there's tunnel vision there. And so now you brought me another tight end that really isn't a great blocker. So this isn't George Kittle, bro. This isn't Rob Gronkowski or something. You know what I'm saying? You don't have that right now there. So what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And that's where I need you to use this guy, because this guy can play. I mean, he can catch the ball and run in the open field. He's a better runner than Gesicki. Okay, but Gesicki's strength is up in the air, which is what I would have been high pointing with his ass, just like with Claypool. The second I signed Claypool after practice, every quarterback is throwing him 20 fades in the end zone.
Yeah.
And then fades in the sideline and fades in the post. And I'm working him everywhere, bro. Why? Because you're going to worry so much about the two monsters that guy's going to get one-on-one and he's going to outjump everybody, dude. So let's go. High point. That Gesicki play against the Ravens.
Yes.
Sticks in my mind like Brother, I used to see that all the time with Oronde Gadsden.
So threw it at the crossbar. He threw it at the crossbar, and Gesicki just went up and got it up over the field goal post. It was incredible from the back of the end zone.
And when you were a kid, you were watching Oronde Gadsden do the same shit every week. There was no mystery to what was going on with Oronde Gadsden.
One-handed and all,
Nothing, bro. He would run a stop and go on your ass, and then he'd turn around, and that big body would be right in front of the DB, and the DB would be behind, and there's no shot. He had no shot at the ball because Oronde knew how to use his body, which sometimes I think it's a lost art. I don't see enough receivers run downfield. Something I used to see more with older receivers, or receivers back in the day, where they would go run downfield and they knew the ball was coming a little short. So they'd slow down purposely and have the DB run into them a little bit, and then the ball would then lead in front of them because they'd time it. I don't see a lot of that anymore, in the NFL, which was a trick that some, smart receivers had because they could use their body. Once you're in front of the DB, you own his ass. You know what I mean? It depends on how if you know how to use your body. If you let him get around you, then that's your fault. And that's where I think sometimes, some of these techniques are almost, gone from what I've seen in that sense. And using your body is a gift, bro. Yeah. And Claypool can use it. You know what I'm saying? Zicky can use it. That's how you should play him.
Here's a recent example, a Dolphins example, and I saw the stat that went a little semi-viral on Twitter yesterday. Devontae Parker has been last in the league in separation, according to Next Gen stats that track player movements the past 4 seasons. So 2 of those were with the Dolphins, the 2 of those now with the Patriots. And so, and he had a good year or 2 in that with the Dolphins, that Ryan Fitzpatrick season. He was just going up and getting the ball, and then a little bit the year after as well. So when it was kind of like Fitzpatrick and Tua. So I mean, there's a recent Dolphins example as well. And one thing, because you mentioned Heat and Spo, one thing though, correct me if I'm wrong, but is a prerequisite for in that Heat culture is you got to play some defense. Even if you're not a defender per se, you have to at least improve wherever you were before. You have to at least
take a charge, hands in the lane. I got you. A team
stuff that comes down to effort.
Yeah, team defender, whatever it is. It's not like they ask you to be a complete stopper, but there are. It's like Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway was never a stopper, but if you notice when he got here, his hands were all in the lanes constantly, all the passing lanes. That's where he'd poke a ball, and then boom, you're off and running, and Timmy's got the ball, and and there you go. There goes the fast break going. Timmy was very good at that, and then he started to take charges too here, which is something he didn't do in Golden State, obviously. So yeah, you're right. There's no doubt that, but again, we're talking basketball where it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just, not everybody is a blocker, bro.
Yeah. Bringing a willingness to improve in that aspect. Give us something in that regard. Even if you have a poor NBA defender, at least that guy can come into the Heat culture and try to improve his defense and little by little. But same thing for.
Let me give you another example. Okay, I get pissed at McDaniel that he's inflexible, because even if Gesicki isn't a blocker, you could find a way to use him another way if you're a smart coach, to his strengths and to your benefit. Okay, same thing goes for Fangio last year. Brother, Agba's a good player, man. I get it. He's not perfect, but then so it's just your scheme. You're not adjusting your scheme to your talent. And so some guys may not fit because you just got here. Well, then a good coach adjusts what he does to then include the talent he has to help keep other guys fresh, to expand his defense and say, okay, Agba, this is what you do. Well, in these moments, we're going to go 4-3 and we're going to switch things up a little bit or something. Change things up a little bit. And I think you're going to see that from Weaver. I think you're going to see different formations. I think you're going to see blitzing, which he didn't do, like against Lamar or against Will Levis in key moments that he really should have been sending the house against those guys. He was inflexible. And to me, that's not a good coach. A good coach is not one who says, this is my system, And if you don't fit it perfectly, I'm sorry, I can't work with you. I like the coach that says, shit, I'm stuck. I got a guy with a blood clot in 1 week, out the next month. I got to then change the offense because he's back. He's not. You know, I admired the shit out of Spo in the blood clot years because he, in 1 year, he had like 3 different offenses. And so that's a guy that says, well, I got to run what I have. And that's Shula. You have greasy, but you have a great defense and you have a dominant running game. So you go behind the running game and you don't need to count on the passing game. The passing game complements it. Okay, now you've got Woodstruck. Okay, you didn't have a great passer, but you had a passer and a runner. So you kind of complement and you use both to their strength, and you got to the Super Bowl. Oh, now you have Marino. Okay, you don't have the running game. All right, we're going to ride the arm because this is a special type of arm. And so it was different kinds of teams that he had success with, just like Spo has had different kinds of offenses and defenses that he's had success with. I'd like to see more of that from McDaniel, and I didn't see it from Fangio. To be fair, also, I saw inflexibility from him, and to me, that's a weakness.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly saw it from Fangio. I think the Emmanuel Agba drop-off started the year before, too, when it was still the last year of Boyer. Even when he was healthy before that triceps injury, we weren't seeing the same Agba to that point either. And then also even more so with Fangio was the way he used Jalen Ramsey, wasn't willing to maybe get the most out of Cam Smith and develop him. So yeah, there's several things, and maybe Javon Holland, allowing him to be more of a rangy safety, keeping both safeties back. Brandon Jones not blitzing him when that was a specialty of his. So yeah, there's various examples, and I think Weaver will be more inclined to fit what guys do, but then also we're seeing it with sort of this purge on defense and how many guys are coming out. He's also trying to get his guys too. So we don't know exactly what that'll look like yet because we haven't seen the back end of filling all these holes, but we're starting to see how some of the movement out of the defense under Weaver.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. Love the move of Elijah Campbell, special teams, character guy, and I still think he can help you as a safety. So I love that move. People are freaking out on Jake Bailey. Here's my explanation to it. They're not paying him like a top punter. You may know exactly what kind of salaries are for a top punter, but 2 years, $4 million doesn't sound like it, to be completely honest on that. So I'm not freaking out on that. Plus, apparently he's pretty good with directional punting. And then he was good, obviously, as a holder and all that kind of stuff. So I think they went with something kind of steady, not spectacular, but steady. And they have to spend in so many other areas. I don't think they had the luxury of saying, all right, let's go find the best punter in free agency and let's go buy him right now. I don't think they had that luxury. So they kind of went and said, all right, this is, he may not be the best, but he's certainly not the worst. He's kind of in the middle of the pack. He's steady. Let's ride with him. And we're not even paying a boatload for him. Your impressions on this? I don't want to waste too much time on a punter.
Yeah. I think back to something Danny Crossman said, and I know a lot of fans didn't want Danny Crossman to retain, but he is still the special teams coordinator. And late in the regular season, speaking to Jason Sanders' improvement, he talked about wanting to have a trio of specialists, that's the kicker, punter, and long snapper, together for a long time. But that's the goal on a special teams unit, is to have that continuity and consistency from your specialists. And the Dolphins, while they've had Jason Sanders here for a long time, Blake Ferguson here since 2020, the punter has changed all these years. The last time they had the same punter, which would also be a holder, for 2 consecutive seasons was 2020, back when Matt Hawk was still controlling those duties. So 21, they had Pilardi. 22, it was Thomas Morstead. 23, Jake Bailey. So now it's your first year where you have continuity as the punter, and I think more so as the holder. That's key because we saw a better Jason Sanders this year, especially also the 50-yarders hitting the clutch field goal like against Dallas to win the game. I think working with Bailey, yes, worked for Jason Sanders. So hopefully you end up seeing some more consistency from Sanders in future seasons. And also to stick with special teams, you mentioned Elijah Campbell. Really like that re-signing. I mean, he's been a solid special teams guy. He's a good locker room guy. and then depth in the secondary. You're gonna end up with injuries there. So he's a guy that he has branched off a little bit to corner, but he's mainly a safety. And if you get two safeties down, he started in that Jets game and he was just fine. That mid-December Jets game.
I like him.
Ballin and Elliott were down. So Brandon Jones and Elijah Campbell in a shutout, by the way. They did their work over there as a safety duo.
I like him. All right, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my man?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's all free agency all the time. So hitting the news as soon as it happens. And I'll be previewing free agency as far as the opening of the legal tampering period Monday at noon. Then you go into Wednesday. Signings are now able to start happening at 4 p.m. when the new league year begins. So, this weekend, even this weekend, something could happen. Last year, it was this same weekend, Jalen Ramsey, that trade went down right before free agency started. So I'll be previewing all of free agency over the weekend, and then just always ready at a moment's notice for that breaking news.
And by the way, I don't know about the breaking news. If you heard about it now in the NFL, you said that, the legal tampering period comes. They're renaming the combine to the illegal tampering combine. That's kind of what it is. It's really because that's really what's going on in the combine. The illegal tampering is going on in the combine. See, that's why they want to now we're doing it legally. But it's kind of like, it's what it says. It's the Lupe Fiasco thing. It's going out to all my homies who are riding legally and illegally. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it goes. So props to Lupe Fiasco on that one. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _.
Who knew he was talking? He wasn't talking about skateboarding. He was talking about going out and acquiring free agents in the NFL offseason.
Kick, push, and coast. That's right, baby. All right, David. Much love, man. You be good. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You got it. Call my guys, Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Lawyers you can trust. We trusted them against Progressive, and they kicked their ass. Welt and Rheaume. Manny Navarro is next.